Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us today. Very special day. It's the appearance day of Gadadhar Pandit. And he's a very special personality. So it's always nice to remember these amazing souls, because when we remember them when they appear and disappear, we can seek their blessings so that we can become better devotees of the Lord, following in their footsteps. And Gadadhar Pandit is such an amazing personality. So let's see who he is. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 141. Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhattavinda, Gadadhar Pandit Adi Prabhura Nija Shakti, Tan Savara Charane Mora Sahasra Pranati. I offer my respectful obeisances onto the internal potencies of the Lord, of whom Sri Gadadhar Prabhu is the foremost. So we'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. Internal potency means the Hladini Shakti, the Shakti of the Lord, which is closest to him, is the internal potency. So this internal potency is what is very integral part of the Lord, and that is otherwise known as, she's otherwise known as Srimati Radharani. So Gadadhar Pandit is an expansion of Srimati Radharani, is none different from Srimati Radharani. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has written, Smara Gaura Gadadhar Keli Kalam Bhava Gaura Gadadhar Paksacharam Shrinu Gaura Gadadhar Charu Katham Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidum. Remember the wonderful pastimes of Gaura and Gadadhar. Become a servant of Gaura and Gadadhar. Listen to the beautiful narrations concerning Gaura and Gadadhar, and worship Lord Gaura, the beautiful moon of the groves of Godrum. So who is Gaura? Gaura is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Gadadhar is one of his closest associates, Gaur Gadadhar. So in Krishna Lila, we'll talk about that in a minute, actually, who they are in Krishna Lila. Gadadhar Pandit appeared on the dark moon day of the month of Vaishakh. His father's name was Madhav Mishra. Mother's name was Sri Ratnavati Devi. They lived initially in Bangladesh, but moved close to the house of Jagannath Mishra in Mayapur, when Gadadhar was young. Sri Ratnavati Devi looked upon Sachi Devi as her big sister. So the mother of Krishna, Gadadhar looked upon Sachi Devi, the mother of Gauranga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as big sister. The two of them were always spending time with each other. At the time of his childhood pastimes, Gauranga used to often play with Gadadhar Pandit. They both went to the same school together, which was the Gangadas Pandit school, Gangadas Pandit, in order to study. Now, Gadadhar Pandit was a year younger than Gauranga, and he had so much affection for Gauranga that he could not leave his company even for a moment. They were inseparable until school started. Things changed after that. So this is Gaura Gadadhar. Gaura Gadadhar. And Gaura is none different from Lord Krishna, came 500 odd years ago. And Gadadhar is none different from Radha, even though he's taken a male body, which is very unusual. And we'll explain why in a little while. In his Gaura Ganodesha Dipika, Kavi Karnapur describes the identity of the various personalities in Gaura Leela. He states that Gadadhar is the incarnation of Radha, the daughter of Vrishabhanu and Kirtida. This is confirmed by Swarup Damodar and Vasudev Ghosh. When Krishna comes as Gaura, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha comes as Gadadhar. Knowing that Krishna would not be able to handle her internal bhav, Radha gave her bodily golden complexion to protect the Lord. Still concerned, Radha also came as Gadadhar and was constantly with Gauranga. So this is an interesting internal point that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Gaura is Krishna, but what he has done, he's taken the love of Radharani. He's stolen the love of Radharani. And Radharani knew that this love that she possesses for Krishna is so intense that even Krishna would struggle to contain that love. So she gave her bodily hue, golden color, to Gaura. So Gaura is not blackish, he's golden, like Radha. And secondly, she also came as Gadadhar, because he knew that this love is so intense, difficult to control it. So as Gadadhar, he was there to look over Gaura or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why not worship Gaura Gadadhar instead of Gaura Nitai? So in ISKCON temples, mainly it's Gaura Nitai who is worshipped, not Gaura Gadadhar. But if you look at the Gaudiya Math and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he installed either just Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his own or Gaura Gadadhar. So why? Why did Prabhupada change it? Prabhupada knew that we're not qualified to worship Gaura Gadadhar. We must approach Gaura Nitai. So this is, and why do we approach Gaura Nitai? Because Nityananda is so merciful. That his kindness is what is required for the fallen souls in this age of Kali Yuga. So this is the Panchatattva in Mayapur. We've seen this a few times. It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the center. This is Nityananda on his right, and then Advaita Charya. And then we got Gadadhar Pandit, and his birthday is today. And then next to Gadadhar is Srivas Thakur. So this is Krishna himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Balaram. This is Mahavishnu and Sadashiva as well. And this is Srimati Radha Rani. And this is Narad Muni. And these three here are considered to be Vishnu Tattva, which means they're part of the full Godhead. Whereas Gadadhar is internal potency. And Srivas Thakur is Jivatma, just like Sri Narad Muni. And how have they impacted our lives? Those Panchatattva is very important. Advaita Charya, who's a bearded one here, let's see him. He's Bhakta Avatar, he prays for us. Bhakta Avataram. Nityananda, who was next to Chaitanya on the right, is Swarupakam. He preaches and he revolutionizes our life. So somebody may have prayed for us before we became devotees, to become devotees. And then somebody may have preached to us and changed our lives completely. And Srivas Thakur is the Bhakta. We go to the temple. Yes, it's good to visit the temple. So we go to the temple and the Bhakta, the devotee, will engage us in seva. So that's Srivas Thakur. And then Gadadhar, Bhakta Shaktikam. He will ask, okay, you've coming to the temple, you're reading the books. Now go in deeper. Read and study and develop love for God. And then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Bhakta Rupa, who is the object of our love, Prema Bhakti. So these different personalities come in our lives, will have acted in a different above capacities to assist us develop our Krishna consciousness. That's quite nice. Panditera Saujanya Bhamanyata Guna Drada Prema Mudra Loke Karila Khyapana. So Gadadhar Pandit is celebrated all over the world for his gentle behavior, his Brahminical attributes, and his steady love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and we can look at the personalities, the difference between Gaura and Gadadhar. Radha and Krishna, they had very different personalities, right? Radharani was very compassionate. The Krishna is compassionate, but not as compassionate as Srimati Radharani. Krishna, if he said something, you couldn't really make out what he meant because he has so many double meanings in what he says. It's tricky. Even his name, Krishna, is not easy to pronounce. But Radharani, you know exactly what she means when she says something. And her name is so beautiful, Radha. So many differences. Anyway, let's have a look at the personalities of Gaura Gadadhar. Gadadhar was very serious and self-composed. He was peaceful, renounced, humble, fond of solitude. On the other hand, especially in his childhood, Gauranga would act very fickle, unsteady, mischievous, and whimsical. So such difference in their personalities. When they were studying in school, he would disturb Gadadhar with illogical questions, arguments, whose sophistry, Gadadhar's sophistry was meant to, sophistry of the arguments was meant to baffle Gadadhar and disturb his studies. As a result, Gadadhar tried to keep Gauranga at a distance. He knew that this guy is a little crazy at this moment. He's just being mischievous. But at the same time, he could not bear to be aloof from the Lord. Gadadhar would preach to the Lord. He would say, and the Lord would, he would preach to the Lord, you should become a devotee. Why are you becoming a scholar? And all these nonsensical arguments that you are giving me. But Gadadhar would say to him, then the Lord would say to Gadadhar, Gadadhar, you watch, soon I shall become such a great Vaishnava that even Brahma and Shiva will come to me and bow down. So this was like a small prediction, if you like. Of course, God is always God, but later on he changed his behavior. Ishwara Puri, he came, this is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came to Navadvip one time and was very affectionate to Gadadhar and won his heart. Gauranga returned to Navadvip from Gaya. So when his father died, he went to Gaya to do the Pindan, and then he came back to Navadvip after taking initiation from Ishwara Puri. And day and night, he would float in the ocean of Krishna Prem. Seeing the wonderful tears of ecstasy, Gadadhar found himself also overwhelmed with ecstasy. Now he'd seen a change in Gaura. This is what he was waiting for. From then on, Gadadhar Pandit found it very difficult to give up the Lord's company even for an hour. Gauranga would ask, Gadadhar, where is Shyam Sundar? So this was the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mood of the gopis, missing Krishna. Where is Shyam Sundar? Where is that Lord of Vrindavan? And the Lord would begin to weep. Gadadhar was stunned and he could not understand what answer to give. With great reverence, he submitted humbly, Krishna is in your heart. Upon hearing this, Gauranga began tearing at his chest, but Gadadhar quickly restrained his hands from doing any damage. This was the reason why Gadadhar appeared, came with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to keep him under control. The Lord said, Gadadhar, let go of my hands. If I can't see Krishna, I won't be able to maintain my life. Gadadhar said, if you remain patient, Krishna will surely reveal himself. He will surely come here before long. With this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pacified. Seeing these pastimes of Gaura Gadadhar, Sachimata, the mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thought to himself with great satisfaction, this boy Gadadhar is very intelligent. I need not fear for Gaura Hari's sake. Sachimata said, Gadadhar, you must always stay by the side of my son, Gaura Hari. One day in the house of Shuklambar brahmachari, the Lord was speaking about Krishna. Gadadhar became overwhelmed with ecstasy, began loudly weeping. And Gaurangas asked, who is that within the house who is weeping so intensely? Shuklambar brahmachari said, it is your Gadadhar. The Lord said, Gadadhar, you are most fortunate. From your early childhood, you have been a determined devotee of Krishna. My own birth was useless because of my sinful karma, I could not attain Krishna. Of course, the Lord is being very humble. He has no karma. He is the boss of karma. Saying this, the Lord embraced Gadadhar in great ecstatic love. Advaitacharya revealed to Gadadhar who Gauranga is. When one day at his home he started to offer arti to Gauranga, Gadadhar was completely convinced. When the Lord was performing his Navadvip Leela, his chief assistant was Gadadhar. One day the Lord was wandering by the banks of the Ganga when he came upon a small forest grove and sat down. He became absorbed in remembering Vrindavan pastimes. Mukunda Dutt began singing sweetly singing songs in the Purva Rag. Gadadhar, after gathering flowers in the forest, decorated the Lord's neck with the garland. Just as formerly in Vrindavan, Sri Radha used to decorate Lord Krishna. In the same way, Gadadhar decorated the holy form of the Gauranga. Gauranga sat Gadadhar down and Sri Advaitacharya performed the arti to the two of them. Nityananda was seated on the left of them. This is quite interesting. So, Advaitacharya would do arti to Gaura Gadadhar. So this is the Panchatattva. One day, Pundarik Vidyadnidhi came to Navadvip. At that time, Mukund Dutt intimated to Gadadhar that there was a Vaishnava worth seeing. So Pundarik is in his previous life, he was the father of Radha, and his name was Vrishabhanu. So when Gadadhar Pandit came before Pundarik, he saw that he appeared to be a great materialist. So Gadadhar couldn't understand Pundarik because he was wearing very opulent clothes and he was just acting like a materialist. So his faith was somewhat damaged upon seeing this. He said to himself like that. Now, that was a little offensive. So Mukunda Dutt, knowing the mind of Gadadhar, sweetly sang us a verse about Krishna Leela. When Pundarik heard this verse, he began crying, Krishna, Krishna, and he fell upon the ground in ecstasy. So realizing he had committed a great offense, Gadadhar accepted mantra initiation from Pundarik, who is regarded to be Vrishabhanu Maharaj in Krishna Leela. Once Gauranga started worshipping Shalagram Shila, he was reminded of Krishna and started weeping. And just by the tears from Gauranga's eyes, he was bathing Shaligram. So then Gauranga gave that Shila to Gadadhar because Gadadhar was very qualified to worship Krishna. You can't worship Shaligram with tears. No, you should worship him with Gangajal and Tulsi. Another name for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadadhar Prananath, the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. No one can say how merciful the Lord is to Gadadhar Pandit, but people know the Lord as Gadadhar Gaura, the Lord Gauranga of Gadadhar Pandit. So Gauranga took sannyas and he went to Jagannath Puri. Later, Gadadhar Pandit also took sannyas and went to Jagannath Puri to be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar accepted Kshetra sannyas, which means that sannyasi, that renunciate, would never leave the Dham. So he would never leave Jagannath Puri. But when the Lord made his pilgrimage to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit wanted to break his vow and go with him. But the Lord said, no, Gadadhar, you stay in Jagannath Puri. You should not break your vow. I will come back very soon. And Gauranga asked Gadadhar to do three things: give initiation to deserving souls, teach Srimad Bhagavatam every day, and serve the deity of Tota Gopinath with full love and devotion. That deity of Gopinath is still there. Tota Gopinath is still there in Jagannath Puri. Very beautiful deity. Ah, here it is. This is a really extraordinary deity, actually. This is Krishna. And he was standing before, but if you see now, he's not standing anymore. He's sitting. And we'll see a little bit more closer. There you go. He's sitting here. This is the lotus position. This is a really unique deity. You'll never see a deity like this anywhere in the world. And why he did this? Because in his old age, Gadadhar Pandit was struggling to put a garland on Krishna because Krishna was very tall. So Krishna decided, I'm going to sit down for you, Gadadhar, and you can worship me. So that's why he's seated in his lotus position. So this is the kindness of Krishna. This is a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Aham vedmi shuko veti vyaso veti na veti va bhaktya bhagavatam graham na buddhya na cha tilakaya tikaya. Lord Shiva said, I know you. I may know. Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadev, may know. Vyasadev may know or may not know the Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is not so easy. On the whole, Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Puran, can be learned only through devotional service, not by material intelligence, speculative means, or imaginary commentaries. So very interesting, this verse. So every day, Gaura would go to Tota Gopinath, where Gadadhar worshipped Tota Gopinath. And Gadadhar would recite the Bhagavatam to Gauranga for 3 hours every day. And generally, they would talk about these pastimes of Dhruv and Prahlad. 108 times they discussed those, at least. So why is Gadadhar explaining the Bhagavatam to Gauranga, which is really which is quite tough to understand? Well, if you see this verse, it says only Bhagavatam can only be understood through devotional service. Who does devotional service? The bhakta, the devotee. So only a devotee can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Even the Lord can struggle to understand the Bhagavatam. Why? Because the Lord doesn't have a devotional service. He is the Lord. But the devotee, when he does devotional service, secrets are revealed to him, which even may not be available to the Supreme Lord. So that's why Gadadhar would explain to Gauranga the Bhagavatam. And Tota Gopinath, just to talk about Tota Gopinath, very ancient deity. When Brahma chanted the Brahma Samhita to Lord Vishnu at that time of creation, it was in the presence of this deity. So it's very, very old. It's like trillions of years old. And why is the deity sitting? We just slowly explain. When Gauranga merged with Tota Gopinath, Gadadhar aged very quickly and he could not decorate Tota Gopinath. Krishna decided to sit down for Gadadhar or for Radharani. Yeah. Gadadhar stayed after Gauranga left to wait to teach Bhagavatam to Srinivasacharya. But Srinivasacharya came a little too late. Oh, he came and then Bhagavatam was not readable. So Gadadhar said, you have to get another Bhagavatam. He went to get another Bhagavatam from Bengal. By the time he came back, Gadadhar had left the planet. And then later, Srinivasacharya learned the Bhagavatam from Jiva Goswami. So let's see. What's the difference between Radha and Gadadhar? There is no difference between Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radhika. But the activities are different in Krishna's pastimes and Gaura's pastimes. Because in Krishna's pastimes, she's Radha. In Gaura's pastime, he's a male. He's Gadadhar. In Gaura Leela, Sri Gadadhar Pandit is in the mood of servant. He doesn't want to take the mood of the lover of Radha. because he wants him, Gauranga, to experience that love within himself. So he can't show it from outside, it needs to be shown from inside. No gopi, including Chandravali, Lalita, Vishaka, can experience Srimati Radharani's Madanakya, Mahabhav. Krishna experiences the ecstatic loving moods of Rudra and Adhirudra, but not Madanakya Bhav, meeting in separation. This Bhav is, as I said, Bhakta, only specifically Srimati Radharani can experience this. Now, Gadadhar Pandit, on the other hand, had Madanakya Mahabhav because he's Radharani. But in Gaura Leela, it's covered so that he can help Krishna play the part of Srimati Radhika. In the form of Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radhika is looking and examining. If there's something missing in Krishna's or Mahaprabhu's enjoyment or ecstasy, she assists him. This is her mood as Gadadhar. She's like a servant. But in Krishna Leela, she's not a servant. Of course she is, but she's, I would say, pretty much on the equal level, equal platform as Krishna. Okay. Now let's see what's the difference. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna acting in the mood of Srimati Radharani, Gadadhar Pandit did not act in the mood of Radharani. Because Krishna, as he came as Chaitanya or Gaura, had come in the mood of Radharani. So there couldn't be two Radhas at the same time, because there can only be one Radharani. He understood this is Krishna's time. This is Krishna's opportunity to relish my loving ecstasy. So I will keep my mood of Radha in the background and just support him in his experience of Radha Bhav. It is also said that if Gadadhar Pandit had manifested the nature or feature of Srimati Radharani, then Krishna, who was trying to absorb himself in the mood of Radharani, would have become attracted to the Radha outside of him and wouldn't have been able to maintain his inner mood as Radha. So Gadadhar Pandit, to facilitate Lord Chaitanya in his pastime, played the perfect role to complement, support the Lord, that of a perfect Brahman, very gentle, very submissive, very scholarly, and very sober. This is really very interesting how Gadadhar Pandit acted. So this is a common deities in Bengal, especially Gaura Gadadhar. So that's the end. It's especially Prabhaben, it'll be something brand new to you. And it's not easy to understand. So I've tried to sort of explain it a little bit more, and I hope it was okay. You're muted, huh?
I wanted to tell you, Gadadhar, you read all about him, but I'm not sure. Is he or is it she?
He's a he.
He's
when
a
he
he.
came, when he came as Gadadhar, he's a he. Yeah. But actually, he's a she in Krishna Leela.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, I really liked it. I mean, it's all you was reading, which was very good. You said something about preaching and revelation singing out.
Sorry, what was that again?
You said preaching and revelation sing out.
But preaching. In the sense that Gadadhar,
it was before. Oh, when you was reading those white clips, not the one now. And this one I will have to read again. I mean, I will have to read again. And yeah, that's right.
One of these.
Today I'm going to. You want to talk to anybody else, or
no?
Okay. My son this is from behalf of my son. He's not here today, but he he's not even joining, he's busy. He asked me, could you ask Prabhuji today about this question? It's to do with our life. When you say, I done this, I done that, I done this, I've done this so much for him, I've done this. And then when you're doing this, when you at the work, and then you are working with other colleagues too, and then someone else take the credit behalf of you. He goes and says someone else to somebody, but all the words we have said to him, he
repeating
go
it
and tell to someone else, and someone else think that all this talking is coming out from him. And that's where my son said, why people do this? That we are doing everything for them, and then in the end they take the credit themselves. And the boss think he has done it. And that's where my son sometimes think that, is it myself doing, or is it Krishna helping me to do it?
Right.
Or he is here now, I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
Basically, it's a human thing.
Prabhuji,
Hey, how are you doing?
it's just come.
Hi, long time.
Hi, Hare Krishna. How are you doing?
Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Mum's been a regular, and it's been really amazing. She's a really nice, she understands everything so nicely. So the question basically is that sometimes people take the credit for something that you've done, and you may take the credit for somebody else's work or some words spoken. So this is almost human nature, unfortunately. We have this tendency to cheat or be cheated, you know. But Krishna is very clear in his Bhagavad Gita. He explains this verse 327. It's worth looking at. Prakriti Kriya Manani. Basically, Krishna is explaining that the spirit soul, we become influenced by false ego. You know, this false ego is really can be quite nasty. And we're thinking that we are the doers of everything. You know, we're doing everything, but actually we're not doing. We are simply the soul who's residing in this body. What's happening is the soul desires, and things happen because of Mother Nature, the three modes of material nature, because of super soul within. So we are not actually doing. And Krishna is really clear in this. We're, if you like, one of the small doers. We are the desirer, but everything else gets done by material nature or the super soul or the three modes of material nature. So in that sense, we should try to understand that we are not necessarily the doers. They're hard to understand. But in practice, we will not live peacefully unless we do two things. If somebody insults us, or as you said, takes the credit, forget it. Don't keep it in your mind, because that will always cause distress in your life. Only to you. The other person won't even realize he insulted you or he took credit for what you've done. But we will be burning inside, you know. So forget that. If we can forget somebody else, and believe me, I've been in this position many, many times, probably both ways. But the thing is, you have to forget, otherwise you eat yourself. And if you've done something good for somebody, you forget that as well. Because you always be thinking, you know, I did this for that person, and he's doing this to me now. No, you did that. It's part of the karmic reaction to whatever's happened in the past. You became an instrument in his life. He's become an instrument in your life. He's not necessarily the cause of the problem or the benefit. It's just my karma playing out. If we can do those two things, when somebody does bad things to us, forget it. When we do some good for others, forget it. We'll live peacefully.
I mean, me and my mum had this conversation just this morning, and it's a part of it is the fact that it's like, oh, I actually do quite a lot at work, and I've got this person happily taking credit, and in my mind it's like, you don't know anything, you're just talking loads, I'm the one it's me, I'm doing everything. And then, as you know, I sort of came into the Hare Krishna side of things maybe in the last couple of years, and then I've come away a little bit, and
right.
But I always sort of try and check in with myself when I say, this is my ego talking.
Right.
That I'm so great and wonderful at my job, that's why it's me, and these other people, what do they know? So it's more about, the question is more about, how do I deal with that? Because because I know I'm acting in ego. I'm not, because and then I say, well, really, it's Krishna. If I say, it's Krishna's doing everything, it's not really me. I say, I'm blessed with a smart brain or a good mind, that I'm good at problem solving. And other people are looking at that, who aren't so good at it, and going, I'll take that and go off and say, look how wonderful I am. And I'm going, yeah, what do you know? You don't know nothing. And it's, while I know what you're saying, forget it, but I don't think memory is something that you erase. So you can't just forget. I remember stuff that happened 30 years ago. So we don't have a forget button. You always remember. You never forget.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Even sages, I mean, we're reading this, Mataji will tell you in the Bhagavatam, Krishna is himself saying that even sages find it hard to tolerate insults. And there was two sages, and they crossed kalpas. That means they crossed the day of Brahma, which is billions of years, right? And when they met again, one of them said to the other, I remember how you insulted me billions of years ago. So it's not easy, for sure.
I see.
But if we want to have a peaceful life, you have to forget. You have to forget. And the thing is, it always comes back. This is the law of karma, right? If somebody's taking credit for your work, it'll come back. It'll come back to you. It'll come back in a positive way to you at some point. And it'll hit them some point, because that's how karma works, So we don't want any evil on anybody, but we should understand that, yes, somebody does wrong to us, they'll get it back. If we do something wrong to somebody, we'll get it back. So it's just going to be, it'll even out in the end,
Yeah, and one of the things that I remember, and I think it was, who's the other Prabhu, the one who, is it Jainite Prabhu? Jainite Prabhu?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Jainite Prabhu, who's the president of the Soho. I remember I did one of his courses once, and he sort of said that there's three doors to hell per Bhagavad Gita. One is work, the other one is anger, and the other one is stinginess. Work, anger, stinginess are the three doors to hell per the Bhagavad Gita. I wrote it down.
Lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and greed. These are the three.
But I wrote this down. So I don't.
Krishna doesn't agree with him.
I get very mixed things from different. It depends who I'm speaking to. I'll get a different.
I think we stick to the scriptures, and the scriptures are very clear. Lust, anger, and greed are the three gates to hell. That's Krishna's explaining that. See, work is not by in itself anything wrong with work, because work means duty. And if you're living in this world with a certain body and certain responsibilities, you have duties to perform. You can escape those duties, but that's what Krishna said to Arjuna. Yeah, you can run away to the forest, but you're not going to do your duty. You're going to commit sin. The work in itself is not going to lead you to hell.
One last thing I want to say is, I remember you said, to forget. But how do you then deal with the people that I deal with who remind you, I've done so much good for you, or I've done everything for you? Parents do this a lot, don't they? I've done so much for you. What have you done for me?
It's special. Even in the families, you sacrifice for so many people.
You have to
forget all the time.
You have to do it. See, I'm also in the same boat. One of the children is a real challenge, and you think, you know, I've done so much for you. But then at some point you have to think, no, you know what? In my last life, you must have done so much for me. I've paid you back.
Yeah, but not everyone thinks like this.
No, but you have.
But what I'm saying is that if I'm
that's how I deal with it.
Sure, but if I'm dealing with someone who's of English origin, who doesn't know nothing about the Gita, they don't think that way. They're keeping score of everything. So when I said to you that, fine, I can be that way. But if others are like, no, I need to remind you of what I've done for you. No, what do I say? Well, you should learn to forget it.
No. You can't control, and you can't preach. You can't preach either. You can't say this is your karma. Well, what the hell are you talking? You just have to bite the bullet. Yeah, thank you. You did that for me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate. Thank you so much. You know, and whether you mean it or not, at least he'll be feeling, oh yeah, you know, I got some recognition. Maybe that will shut him up. You know. Yeah.
Again, their ego needs that validation.
Needs a validation.
Something
needs a validation.
Okay, all right. I kind of knew that my ego as well. I have to watch it.
It's not just you.
It's all of us, right?
Everybody. I mean, this is what's keeping us in this world. You know, the ego. I did this, and I'm so good. I'm so smart. You know.
We're nothing really, but
no, we really are not much.
Speck of dust.
Speck of dust, and that's a good mood. You know, if it's not that we're depreciating ourselves, we're just understanding. Hang on, actually, this universe is so large. I'm a little speck in it. But what I want to do is try to connect with the Supreme Spirit, you know, so that I can link with him. And then if we're linked with the Supreme, everything else becomes very insignificant. You know, it doesn't matter. Let somebody run me over. What to do?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you. I will see you very soon. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much. Yeah? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I've taken too much.
No, that's okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Anything you'd like to share? Okay. Gadadhar Pandit ki jai.